Hey guys, it's Emily here from the FSU. This is about the fifth time I've tried to record this video. I'm under strict instructions to keep it under 5 minutes long. I just want to give you an update. You'll probably get an email from the bank and from the FSU this afternoon or tomorrow morning about the good faith bargaining case that we had before the Fair Work Commission set for today, and about enterprise bargaining more broadly. Really, really good news. We've been able to discontinue our case with the CBA before going in front of the Fair Work Commission for a hearing about good faith bargaining, because they've given some commitments and continue to negotiate in a way that gives us the confidence we need for two things: to know that these pay increases are unlikely to be used to undermine your claims. That's obviously our key concern. We would never stand in the way of pay increases unless we had concerns about what they were being used for. And we believe that we now have commitments such that we can hold the bank to them, whereas before we were concerned that really there was nothing stopping them using those pay increases to undermine bargaining, even if it wasn't the explicit intent. So anyway, we've been able to discontinue that case now that we've secured those commitments, and now that we've secured some movement in bargaining. It's not the movement we wanted to see, but it is really, really positive. So you'll probably get an email from CBA saying something about partial pay increases, that they're going to go forward and pay those now. They're free to do so now that we have those commitments and that movement in bargaining that gives us the confidence that we need, that we'll be able to continue to pursue members' interests in the bargain. So a bit of best of both worlds. You get half your pay increase, but we get to fight on for 3% for all, for the retention of RDOs and all those other really, really critical things. We get to continue our negotiation without it being tangibly impacted by the pay increases. And we now have these commitments to use against the bank should they change their minds on that, which I'm sure that they won't. Now to the movement in bargaining, which is really, really important and a little bit exciting, also a little bit strange. You'll see what I mean in a minute. The bank have continued to negotiate with us over the last couple of weeks, and they've moved their position on contracts very slightly, but positively towards those commitments that we wanted to see around people's ability to transition on and off and understand the entitlements between the EA and the contract. It's a big problem at the bank, and I know a lot of have encountered some confusion in the workplace about how the enterprise agreement applies to people, whether it does, whether it doesn't, whether they can engage with the union. So that's something we're looking to prevent in the future, and they've moved a little way towards us on that, which is fantastic. They're not at this stage able to move towards us on the threshold issue, the ability to only offer packaged arrangements to those whose salary is so high that the bank could, feasibly argue that they're compensated for those things that they're being bought out of. So we'll continue on that front. On the RDOs, without doing a 10-minute talk on why RDOs are important to those who don't currently get them, those on contracts, please watch that video if you haven't. It's really, really important, the way that this proposal would devalue your contracts. It's really important that everyone understand what that means. It's also important that we recognise the work of trade unionists, FSU members before us in getting RDOs and securing them for the future. If we let them go for the future, that's a big problem for what that says about our willingness to fight for our colleagues to come. It sets up a tiered system, and to do that with nothing in return that is, the same value of RDOs would be crazy. I do also want to say a little bit about the bank's reasons for getting rid of RDOs, but all I'll say is they're not great reasons. They're not compelling. Things like this isn't a modern entitlement. People don't like them. We pay people enough and they don't need them. I'm paraphrasing. But these aren't reasons to remove a baseline entitlement. Even if you don't take advantage of it, this is an entitlement you have. Why should you give it back to the Commonwealth Bank? That's the core question with this one. Unfortunately, we're still a ways apart on this matter. I think the bank understand that it's important to our members, and that we're going to continue to stick up for that. So hopefully we'll have an update for you soon, but nothing on that just yet. Now on pay, this is going to raise some eyebrows. Bit of an unusual position from the bank. They've come back to us with 3.25% for everyone whose pay is set by the enterprise agreement, and everyone who's on a tier 1, as they call it, contract. So a contract, IA, AWA, whatever, up to $75,000. That's 3.25. That's more than we asked for. I'm going to come back to what we think that means, and what we might do with that. 2.25 for 75 to 110,000 contracts, IAs, AWAs. So that's the number that moved down a little bit in the previous discussions. It's come back up to 2.25, positive movement. It's not 3, but it's positive movement, and 2% for those over 110. Again, not 3, but positive movement. Just to come back to 3.25 for a little bit, there could be any number of reasons that the bank have chosen to increase this offer. I personally choose to believe that it's because you're all so hardworking and they recognise that in fact you should be paid, 15, 16%. We think potentially it has more to do with areas where the bank is prepared to move as compared with areas the bank aren't prepared to move, like RDOs. And a more cynical view of the world might suggest that this is an intention, that this indicates an intention to try to dissuade members from continuing the fight around RDOs and attract them to the enterprise agreement with a higher pay offer than we were asking for. In any event, 0.25% of a $75,000 a year salary, for example, is about $180, and that comes nowhere near compensation for RDOs into the future for a generation of workers, or the 5% of your contract that RDOs account for. So on any read, on a harsh math or on a cynical strategic read, this 0.25 doesn't come close to clinching the deal for members, but it is positive movement nonetheless. There's certainly a view around the union that you deserve 3.25, 3.54. If the bank want to increase the offer and see where the threshold is for members to accept that in lieu of our concerns around contracts and RDOs, they're free to do that. That's their position. Our position is, as always, 3% for everybody who works at the Commonwealth Bank, no matter how much they get paid, the retention of RDOs and a fair contracting clause. We're going to continue to discuss that with them. And I just want to end this video by saying that there is one thing that you can do that will tangibly assist our ability to continue to press these claims. It shouldn't be taking this long. I understand you're all frustrated. That is totally understandable. But in order to move the bank, we need you to participate in the protected action ballot. If you're an FSU member, you will have received a plain looking envelope, hopefully by now, but very soon, asking you 13 questions, yes or no. Would you support the union seeking the legal protection to do? And then there's a list of 13 things. We need you to vote yes on those 13 things, and we need all of you to vote yes on those 13 things. That vote will send a clear message to the Commonwealth Bank that FSU members at the Commonwealth Bank understand the proposal, they understand where the negotiations are at, and in view of that, they have chosen to indicate that they support the union getting the legal protections to take industrial action and having that in our back pocket at the table. It's absolutely critically important that you participate in that ballot, that you get it done by the 22nd of December. That is our next opportunity to show the bank that we're dead serious, and it's an opportunity where you're participating. It's not us talking at the table. It is a physical demonstration, a big pile of envelopes at the AEC that we're prepared to take them on over this. These are small things. We are close together on this agreement. If the Commonwealth Bank can come towards us on RDOs, come towards us on fair contracts, and look at paying 3% to everybody because you've all worked hard, and 3%, of a manager's salary is still far less than what they pay the executives and the people who've already got their pay rises for the year. We think it's entirely fair, and we're going to stick together to get that. So thank you all so much for your support so far. Thank you for talking to one another about the protected action ballot, about the RDOs in particular, and about everything else in this agreement. It has been absolutely incredible, and together we can definitely get this done. Thanks, guys.